Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 577 of Screw the Commute podcast, talking with Michael DeLon today. And he's reason he caught my eye is he's all about credibility in your marketing, and that's something I've been living my entire career. So I'd love to. That's why I really wanted to get him on here to talk about that topic. Now, make sure you pick up a copy of our automation ebook. We've actually figured it out. You kind of estimated it a couple years ago that just one of the tips in this book has saved me 7.5 million keystrokes. That's not an exaggeration. Probably 800 or 8 million now, but it's been a couple years since we did that. So pick up your copy at screwthecommute.com/automate free, screwthecommute.com/automate free. And what I want is that you're not fighting with your computer all day long. I want you to be working with prospects and taking care of your customers and building that credibility, not just, fighting with your computer because you wouldn't take a few minutes to learn some of these techniques or, get some of this software. And I'm talking cheap or free stuff here that's right in front of your face on your computer already, many of the things to really help you out. While you're over there, pick up a copy of our podcast app at screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP, and put us on your cell phone and tablet. Take us with you on the road. We have complete instructions. A lot of people give you an app and then you got to try to figure out how the heck to work it. Well, we have screen capture videos and screen captures to show you how to use all the great functions in it. So that's screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP. Now, we're still in the middle of our program to help persons with disabilities get scholarships, and we have a GoFundMe campaign set up, and it's going great. These people, there's 3 of them in the program now. Guess what? 2 of them are blind, and they're making better videos than me. You can see their video updates over at the GoFundMe campaign, and this is at my website for my school. It's IMTCVA, Internet Marketing Training Center, Virginia.org/disabilities. And that'll click you through to the GoFundMe campaign. Any little bit you throw in is great, really helps out, and something you can really be proud to support, because we're going to get these people in either good paying jobs or in their own business or both, and without them having to kill themselves to try to get to classes and get home and go to work every day, that everything can be done legitimately from their home. So I'm really proud of being involved in this. So check that out. All right, let's get to the main event. Michael DeLon is the #1 Amazon best-selling author of On Marketing. This is the title of his book, The Definitive Guide for Small Business Owners. Since 2013, he's worked with business owners to establish and market their credibility. He helps business owners publish a book that positions them as the expert in the eyes of the audience so they can gain more clients using his credibility marketing systems. Michael, are you ready to screw the commute?
Tom, I am ready to screw the commute. Let's go.
All right. So I do understand that in your past, you have had the dreaded JOB. Tell them about your prison sentence that's just to live in.
That's fun, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, everything changed for me when I escaped prison, and it was not a literal prison. It was emotional prison. My wife and I mean, we've been married since 1990. Even though we grew up in church, nobody taught us to be married. So after 5 years of conflict, we went to a marriage conference and learned God's blueprints for marriage. And the ministry that put that on was called Family Life. And they're down in Little Rock, Arkansas. We were in Indiana. After a long, trek, God called us to be missionaries with that organization. So we moved down to Little Rock in 2004. Joined that ministry, thought it was the greatest thing ever, thought I'd never leave. And then I started climbing the corporate ladder. I got on the leadership team. They started going through corporate reorgs. And after the 3rd reorganization, they rolled it out on the new chart, and my name was no longer on the leadership team.
Yikes.
And they started shuffling me around the ministry to do different things. And that was the beginning of my 2-year prison term inside of a ministry that I loved doing jobs I hated. And so finally, after 2 years, I looked at my wife and I said, I got to get out of here. And I prayed and I said, God, what can I do? And he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to go help small business owners with marketing because they hate it and I love it. And he said, go. So January 1st, 2013, I escaped prison. And Tom, I hit Easy Street. I became
sure.
an entrepreneur.
Well, wait a minute. I want to back up a little bit. You mean
Yeah.
to tell me that marriage isn't easy? That is an easy street?
That is not Easy Street at all, brother. We are still after it after 32 years trying to hone each other, right?
Well, see, I have the solution for this nasty divorce rate that's around. So it's so easy to get married, right? So
Right.
I say, instead of spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a divorce, make people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars before they get married.
Oh, yes.
And then it's free to get a divorce.
There you go. No, seriously, make marriage a lot harder and they would last a lot longer. That's for sure.
So go ahead. What happened then?
Yeah. So I got out of prison, started my company. I was a marketing consultant here. I had one client, helped him break through some barriers. He'd refer me to you, Tom, right?
Mhm.
And I'd call you, I'd say, I can help you with your marketing. We'd have a meeting and you'd like me because I'm a good guy. And you'd say, now, Michael, what have you done in your past? I said, well, I've helped build marriages and families at Family Life. And you'd say, man, that is super honorable. Way to go, Michael. Oh, look at the time. I've got another meeting, but let's keep this conversation going. And you'd usher me out the door. And that kept happening. And I thought, okay, this is not good. I got to fix this. So I went to my church one day, second floor. I remember it as if it were yesterday. I was pacing the hallways going, God, how do I help Tom? Because I know I can. And God gave me the idea, says, Michael, take all of your marketing strategies and put them in a book. And so I wrote my book on marketing and published it. And then, Tom, I would call you and set on a meeting with you, and I'd mail you a copy of my book. And a week later, I'd walk into your office, and there it was. My book was on your desk, dog-eared, highlighted, underlined. You'd read my book. And in that meeting, you'd say, now, Michael, in your book, you said, and you'd point to something, and you'd say, how do you help me do that? And you'd hire me. And the next guy hired me, and the next guy hired me. And I thought, oh, well, this is pretty cool. Why don't more business owners do this? And so, well, you know how hard it is to write a book. There are a lot of moving parts. I went and created a process that has now become Paperback Expert, where we help business owners create their own book without writing a word and teach them how to monetize their expertise so that they can serve more clients, gain clients, get referrals, and grow their revenue. That book changed my world because of the credibility that my clients saw that I had simply because I had a book. And what I find, Tom, is my clients are experts at what they do, but they are commodities in the eyes of their audience, and they're really their market's best kept secret because they don't have the credibility to break through the clutter that's out there.
So
That makes sense?
yeah, and I love I've got 25 books to my credit, and so I
You've done it once or twice.
yeah, I think I might believe in what you're talking about. I don't know. You might have to convince me here pretty soon.
That's right.
Tell us other things. I know you said, okay, it changed the power struggle of your sales pitch, but what other great things come from increasing your credibility?
Yeah, confidence in yourself really is one thing that I found, is because before I had my book, I was up against media reps and ad agencies out there, and they had all their stats and everything. And who was I? But when you have your book, it builds confidence in yourself so that I can talk with anybody now about marketing and know that I know that I know. And if they have any questions, I just hand them a copy of my book and it changes in their mind, right? So self-confidence changes dramatically. And what that does is it changes the conversation because I don't have that pressure to produce. It's not a sales meeting anymore. It's a conversation to see, how can I serve you? And so the credibility for me really changed how my clients and prospects thought of me, but it also changed how I thought of myself, which led to a lot of speaking opportunities, around the community, around organizations that I serve. I never have to worry about what I'm going to say when I'm invited to speak because I just reiterate the core concepts of my book and my philosophies and why I do what I do around credibility marketing. So it has really helped me build greater confidence in myself and give me a great thing to say in any platform, whether it's a podcast like this or whether it's a real live stage somewhere where I'm speaking. It gives me the ability to have confidence, but to communicate a message with absolute clarity that resonates with the audience that I'm speaking to.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you about. If you got speaking engagements, and then do you take the angle to speak to try to get clients, or to speak for money and try to get clients, or just to speak for money?
Yeah, I take the first approach. I'm usually speaking to get clients. So I don't get, people don't pay me to come. They usually bring me in to educate their audience, whether it's attorneys, financial advisors, chiropractors, whoever, around the concepts of marketing and credibility, because this concept will work for any business owner. Doesn't matter what you do. You're all fighting in a sea of competitors. And unfortunately, I say most business owners look like coffee beans. Right? I'm a coffee guy. I love coffee. But if you pour coffee beans on the table, they all look the same and they smell the same. And if you as a business owner look like and sound like all of your competitors, you're a coffee bean. You're not giving your audience a reason to choose you. And that's why you're viewed as a commodity. So what we do is talk to audiences and explain to them the importance of communicating their story of why do you do what you do? Because you could be doing 100 different things, and then sharing your expertise with your audience through the pages of your book and all the other systems that we have.
Now, what is the end game at a speaking engagement? I'm very interested in this because I've done 3,000 speeches in like 12 countries, and I know what mine is. But are you trying to get them into your book writing program or to your other consulting, or do you have some type of membership site or one-on-one program? What are you trying to get them to do after they hear you speak?
Yeah, my number one thing is always I want them on my list. I believe my list is my number one asset. So then through that is going to be engaging in a conversation, usually around, is writing a book the best thing for them, the right next step for them? And many times when I'm speaking to an audience, for a lot of those people, it is the right next step. For some of them, it's not. And that's why we've put together some coaching programs, because what I find is a lot of business owners, they're really, really good at what they do, but their message needs some help. And so, so we have a coaching program, an 8-week program where we help them clarify what we call their signature message. What's that message that's unique to them and compels their prospect to take steps toward them? So sometimes we will just work with somebody to create that signature message and help them draft a credibility marketing plan going forward based on what they're currently doing. Go out, use that, generate some revenue, come back to me in a few months, then let's do your book. So I'm really about how do we help you grow your business? And what, Tom, you remember when we were kids, you would stand in line at the lunch line, right? In school, and there'd be a line of 20 or 30 kids. And if you cut in line and went from the back to the front, you got pulled out of the line and I got sent to the principal's office, right? Because it was not right to do. It was wrong. Well, what I find is when you have the right type of credibility, it allows you to cut in line legally and ethically in front of all of the other competitors you have, because you have something valuable to offer to your prospects. And so that's the perspective we take with all of our clients, whether they create a book or we create a message for them, is how can I help you ethically cut in line, cut through the clutter, and capture the attention of your audience, whether you create a book with me or whether we just help you clarify that message.
All right. Now, do you have other mechanisms besides books for credibility? I know when I started my speaking career, long before the internet was around, I was doing a lot of radio and TV and print interviews. So what other things help people build the credibility?
Yeah, consistency and doing things old school. And so one thing that I do a lot of things, is I write these things called thank you notes.
Amazing.
I actually put a stamp on it, right?
That? What is that? Jeez.
Nobody knows what to do, right? So
excuse me, right here. I triple hate these send out note things.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The send out cards ones.
Can you get any more cold and calculated by sending me a thank you note that's on a font that was a computer generated font?
Yep, exactly. It doesn't speak credibility or love or anything, right?
No. Yeah, people
And
think, oh, I send out hundreds of these. Well,
no,
at least 78, 80 of those people are going to think, oh man,
it's
this
going to go
is
right to the
terrible.
garbage.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I've got a stack of thank you notes, and I write personal notes to people. I mail them. So that's number one. So after this interview, here's my process. And I'll just share this with you. This is a process that I've put in place and I share with everybody. It's a thank you process. So at the end of this podcast, I'm going to say thank you, Tom. I've really enjoyed being on it. Thank you. And then you're going to get an email from me, but it's a very short video based email. I use the company Loom,
Loom.
Loom.
Yeah.
Very, very personal. And then I'm going to mail a thank you to you. And then in about a week or so, you're going to get a food item in the mail that says, thank you for allowing me to be on your podcast. I enjoyed it. Right. Those 4 steps I've automated. I've made them a system, and it's very unique. And what it does is it helps me build credibility because you're being touched by me in a variety of ways, but they're all personal. And I use that system multiple ways in my business, not just for podcast interviews, but for prospects, for clients. I'm always doing Loom videos and thank you notes and gifts in the mail. And what I find, Tom, is it blows people away. And I get clients and prospects emailing me back saying, hey, thank you for that. I really appreciated that, whatever. Nobody does this. And it shocks me. And it allows me to build greater credibility in your mind, because that's where the marketing battle is fought, is how people think about you, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened when I mailed a copy of my book to you way back when. You thought differently about me. And so credibility is being consistent in how you show up, and for me, doing things differently. So I still send a print newsletter once a month to my centers of influence. It goes in the mail every month because I want to be a household name. I want to be, Tom, the first person you think of and the one you feel the best about when you need my product or service.
Well, do me a favor though.
What's that?
Don't send me any green beans. I hate green beans.
No green beans. Okay.
Write that down.
I'll mark that down. No green beans.
So what do you you really put a heavy emphasis on books. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes are that people make when they're thinking about doing a book?
Yeah. Not getting professional counsel. Okay. So I've seen a lot of self-published books that look and read self-published. If you're going to self-publish your book, great. Hire a great editor and somebody who can help you out with it. Okay. Make it look professional. Number one. Number two, and you may disagree with me, some people do, but I really don't like it when people do those joint books with,
Oh no,
Jack
I
Canfield.
totally agree. The only people that make money are the ones that put
right.
the project together.
Yeah, it's like I wrote a book with him, and you're chapter 38 of 42 chapters. It's like there's no credibility there, folks.
Now, the one exception to that was I was in the Chicken Soup for the Entrepreneur's Soul.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's such a different level than what we're talking about. What you were talking about is called an anthology. I mean,
Right,
Chicken Soup for the Soul is a whole movement kind of thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, if you can get in, I don't know if they're doing them anymore, I don't think, but if you're in there, that's okay. But if you get approached to be an author in one of these other things with 40 other people, your money could be so much better spent with Michael or me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The big mistake that I see a lot of people make, business owners who want to write a book, is they actually write the book. I tell people all the time, never write a book. What I counsel people to is speak to write your book. So with the automations that are there now with AI and with Google Docs and Word, you can actually hit the dictate function and start speaking your content into a Word document and get your thoughts out of your head and onto paper quickly. Write like you speak, because that's what you're doing, and then go back and edit what you've written or give it to a real editor. But don't spend the time typing out. Save the keystrokes. You said that on the intro here. You got to save the keystrokes and speak, because you want that consistency in your book of how you talk, so that when somebody connects with you on a Zoom or a phone call or a meeting, you're going to say some of the same things, and that builds that congruency and it builds credibility in their minds.
Okay, now let's talk about this Amazon bestseller thing. Now, I did that when it was cool to do it. All right. This
Mhm.
was when it first started. I went to the top of Amazon's main thing, and I was second only to Harry Potter, that little
Wow.
that
Yeah.
little wizard
A
creep
little
that
wizard
had to
guy.
beat me. I I, I think I sold 2,700 books in 1 week. But that whole thing has kind of been bastardized over the years till you could be brain dead and sell one book in a category and call yourself an Amazon bestseller. So
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on this nowadays?
Yeah. Being an Amazon bestseller for a business owner, again, it's about the credibility. How does your audience see you? You and I know that Amazon runs on a logarithm, right? Just like Google does. And so it's more than just book sales. We know Amazon covers a lot of things. It's about how many book sales. It's about how many reviews are you getting. What you go to an Amazon bestselling book, they have one review. Really? So getting people to review your book with good comments and saying, "Hey, I read this. This is good here." Right? That's important as well. Finishing out your author profile page, but it's having that title so that when you're introduced or something, it's Amazon best-selling author, right? And then your name. It captures the attention of your audience. And then when you have some media credentials behind you, and it actually allows you to have a greater platform of credibility because it all comes back, and I feel like a broken record, but how does your audience think about you when they see you online in your emails at a talk? What is their perception of you? How do they see you in their mind's eye? That's the credibility to begin with. Then you've got to follow it up. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of Amazon bestsellers, all over the place, and New York Times bestsellers, and I watch their videos or I've heard them in person, and I'm like, I don't like that person.
No.
There's not a consistency between what I thought and who they are, and that kills all the credibility. So you've got to be consistent with who you are. Take all of the credentials you can possibly get. Those just add to your credibility. But if you have that and you don't have the consistency and you're not the person that you're portraying, then it's all for naught.
I saw this one guy that had a major, I won't name him, major international bestseller. His name was Common at the time. And so I went to a local college to he was going to appear there. And he
Hmm.
did and I always am there early and stay late to just see what all's going on. And so I'm there early and he's standing there with a mean look on his face, and nobody would really want to approach him because he just looked like he's mad at the world. He
Yep.
did a 3-hour slideshow, which means the audience was in the dark for 3 hours, and did not take any questions. And he didn't sell any books. People just thought this guy is a jerk. I mean, you shouldn't go more than an hour and 15 minutes to give the audience a break.
Right.
And he just hated life. He should have been better off staying home and sold more books.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you've got to show up because business is all about relationships. We've heard forever, no, like, and trust. Well, there you go. It's a very simple formula, right? You've got to be real. You've got to be likable and approachable. And so, yeah, if you're not those things, I don't care what kind of credentials you have, you're playing the shell game.
Now, has your family? I know you've got how many? You got father of
Yep.
4.
Yep.
Are any of them involved in your business?
They are. Yeah. So I've got so my wife, who's been my wife since 1990.
Mm-hmm.
She's my bookkeeper.
Okay.
And my eldest son, Caleb, is 26. He lives in California with his wife, Rachel. And Caleb helped me build the business. And then after about 4 or 5 years, he left to go to seminary and became a youth pastor for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And then came back to me about just over a year ago. So he's my chief operating officer now. And my younger son, Jeremy, he's 21, just got married at the end of January. He kind of runs the back end with the book orders and getting
Mm-hmm.
everything onto Amazon and Kindle. And then my other two daughters are 13 and 11, and they're not in the business yet, but they came to us through foster care. We were foster parents for 8 years, fostered about 25 kids, and they are from there, and we adopted those two out of 25. And so I tell people I have 2 families from one wife. And,
Wow. Yes, boy. How do you pick out of 25 kids 2? That
well,
seems like,
yeah.
oh man.
Yeah. Foster care is a very interesting thing, at least in Arkansas, because it's all through the state, and they call you and say, "Hey, we have a child who's just been pulled out of the house. Do you have room?" And most of the time we said yes. There were a few exceptions, but then we would care for them. But it's really interesting, Tom, how you just know that, like, we would care for a child for 2 or 3 months, and we would know that they're not a DeLon. Though
Mm-hmm.
we would love them as if they were ours, we just knew they weren't going to stay with us for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
When God brought Eliana to us, my eldest daughter, she's 13. She came to us at 8 weeks old. She's African American. I'm not, and we knew that she's a DeLon. It's just one of those weird senses. And then 8 years later, he brings Jenna, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl, into our life at 4.5 years old, and we thought, she's a DeLon. We don't get it, but she has what we're looking for. And those two girls, Tom, from vastly different backgrounds, get together just like they're sisters from birth, from the womb. It's crazy how God does that. So anyway.
Well, here's something else crazy.
Well, yeah.
No, I'm getting ready to tell you. I'm thinking about. So I'm the godfather of a girl named Ileana, and I have a rescue dog in there, a husky right now, is named Jenna.
What are the odds? That's great.
Oh, man.
Great.
So the young ones coming up, they're going to be so tech savvy, they're going to take over, and they won't need you anymore for the business.
That would be wonderful. Well, that ties into my long-term goal of working myself out of my job.
There you go.
So maybe there's hope for me yet.
So we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we'll ask Michael what's a typical day look like for him, and also he's got a really cool thing for you to see what your credibility is. So folks, about 25 years ago, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, in that people at my level were charging 50 or 100 grand up front to teach you what they knew. And I knew a lot of these people. They'd be hiding out, and you wouldn't, you give them that money up front, you'd never see them again. So I said, that's too risky for a small business. I said, I'm going to charge like an entry fee, and then I'm going to tie my success to their success. So they'll know that I'm not going to disappear on them. So for me to get my 50,000, they have to net 200,000. Well, they love this, and 1,700 students later, this program is still going strong, and it's one of the longest running, or it is the longest running, most unique, most successful mentor program in internet and digital marketing ever. And I always triple dog dare people to put a program up against mine because it has so many unique features. For instance, it's all one-on-one. I mean, nobody at my level will even talk to you, let alone teach you anything. So it's one-on-one with me and my entire staff. You have an immersion weekend at the Great Internet Marketing Retreat Center in Virginia Beach, where you actually live in this big estate with me. We have a TV studio where we shoot videos for you, edit them, put the graphics on, send them to you when you get home. You get a scholarship to my school. It's the school I was talking about when we're helping those persons with disabilities get scholarships. So you get a scholarship to that school, which you can either use yourself or gift to somebody. Because these colleges nowadays, I got to tell you, I also have a TV show in development in Hollywood called Scam Brigade. If they weren't colleges, they'd be in jail for some of the things they're doing to young people and families with the fees they're doing, and they're playing games with the textbooks so you can't return them, and you have to pay retail. I mean, I've got this whole thing over on the site of 7 college ripoffs, and just terrible. And then you get out with a degree and you're competing for jobs at Starbucks. Well, that's not the way my school works. So it's one of the best legacy gifts you could give to a young person, because they will have a highly in-demand skill, and within 6 months to a year, they won't have all these fees, all this debt, and everything. So check out my mentor program at greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, and we can talk about your future online. All right, let's get back to the main event. Michael DeLon is here. He is a married guy for 32 years, I think he said, and that's amazing. I haven't made it 32 minutes with anybody. So, so really look it up to him for that. Um, but so what's a typical day look like? Do you have like some kind of morning routine, or do you get up early? What do you eat? Do you exercise? What's your story?
Yep. On a typical day when everything's functioning right, I'm up at 5:25 in the
Yikes.
morning. I go out and I exercise for about 10 to 15 minutes using stretchy bands and things. I've got a whole system that I use there.
Wait a minute.
And then,
Wait a minute.
yeah,
5:25. Is that
5:25 a.m.
why is it 25?
Well, because all right, so this came from Stephen Covey years and
Okay.
years ago. Remember Stephen Covey?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he was in one of the audiobooks that he did. He said he was counseling some guy who was really lazy and would fall asleep. And so Stephen had this guy get up every morning at 5:55. And I remember Stephen's words. He's like, because 5:55 is 5:55. It's not 6 o'clock. It's 5:50. It was a specific. And he said, that's where I started with this guy. And that has always stayed with me. So 5:25 is a good specific time frame. It's not 5:30. It's 5:25.
It's not 6 either.
It's not 6 either. So, and I don't do snooze alarms, man. I get up
Okay.
when the alarm gets up, I'm up. I go exercise for 10, 15 minutes or so. And then I come, shower, go out and do a Bible study for about 30 to 45 minutes. Just time with God, quiet time, reading a passage of scripture, thinking, praying. And then from there, I'll start organizing my day. I'll connect with my family. And then I take, once I get ready to go to work, I take my very, very long commute, Tom, out the door, through the breezeway, up this garage attic stairs to my office that's in my attic, in my garage that we built 2 years ago.
That's where our TV studio is. Boy,
Yep.
we got so much in common.
We do. It's amazing. So then I get to be in my office here, and my wife's a homeschooling mom, so she still homeschools my two daughters who are at home. So I've always had the dream when I started my business back in 2013 to work on property out of the house, because my wife says I'm a little loud when I talk. I haven't figured that out yet. So this is a beautiful screw the commute opportunity for me, that my commute is about 50 paces outside my kitchen door.
Nice.
And
Where
so
are you located?
I am in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay, Little Rock. All right, got it.
Yep. Yeah. So it's really cool. Then I get to be here all day, serving prospects, clients, doing podcast interviews, working with my team, and just helping business owners. I love what I do. I'm one of the few people on earth who actually love what I do. I'm living my dream every day, and I can't think of doing anything else. So
you're talking to another one. You're talking
I know
to another one.
We are blessed men, brother.
So tell them about the credibility calculator.
Yeah. So, obviously we all talk about credibility. Everybody wants credibility. I started asking people, well, what is it? And nobody could give me a good answer. They didn't understand it. So we did some research and built this credibility calculator. And what it does is in under 5 minutes, answering 20 questions, we will provide to you a credibility score, 0 to 100. And then we follow that up with 5 videos, one a day, that will teach you what you can do to increase the credibility you have in the eyes of your audience. So we call it the credibility calculator. It's at my website, paperbackexpert.com. When you go there, just right above the video, there's this big red line that says, take the credibility calculator. You can't miss it. Absolutely free.
Well, you better have some counseling ready to go for the people that score 0.
It's hard. I've seen some come through that are in the single digits. It's like, ouch. But you know what, Tom? We all have to start somewhere.
Right. I get it.
And so that's what we're trying to do. Is I talk with business owners who are starting out in their business. They can't afford my service, but it's like, you know what? That's okay. How can I help you? Let's look at your credibility. Let me give you some strategies and tips that you can use where you are today to cut in line legally, ethically, to start gaining some business, so that maybe in 2 or 3 years you can come back and we can create your book. It really is about helping business owners, because I was there one time, dude. When I escaped prison, I had very little credibility in the eyes of my audience. So I'm here just to really help people. So the credibility calculator is one way that I know I can help anybody get a key and an idea of what is my credibility score.
Beautiful, beautiful. So everybody check out paperbackexpert.com, and he says it's very easy to see this credibility calculator on the homepage. So thanks so much for coming on, Michael.
You're welcome, Tom. This has been lots of fun. I enjoyed the conversation.
I appreciate it. And so folks, again, paperbackexpert.com. See what your credibility is if you dare. All right. We'll catch everybody on the next episode. We'll see you later.